Hi everyone, welcome to week 1 of your Pharmacy Career Planning 1 course. In this course, we're going to be covering some of the different types of occupations that you can have within the pharmacy system. So we're going to be looking at lots of different options. Most of us have probably thought of retail because that's pretty much where we see pharmacy professionals on a regular basis, but there are a lot of other things out there that are available to us, and that's what we're going to explore in this course, as well as the course that's labeled 2. So you're going to be looking at the first half of the textbook in this course, the second half of the textbook in the other course. Normally you're taking them concurrently, so you're going to be looking at them at the same time. So let's start off by looking first at Chapter 1 of this week's material. Now, we're going to take 2 weeks to cover Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is talking not only about pharmacy, but basically in general about the healthcare system in the United States and comparing it and contrasting it to healthcare systems outside of the United States. So some of the other countries and how they have their health systems set up and how pharmacy relates to those. So as you go through this week and you're starting to look at Chapter 1, you're going to be going just through slide 30 on this slide deck, which equates to about page 10 in your textbook. So when you get to the bottom of page 10, you should see that there's a section at the very bottom of page 10 that's a header. You're going to stop right before that. So that's kind of your cutoff point in Chapter 1, and then we'll pick up with the next part of that next week in week 2. So for Chapter 1, we're just kind of looking at some of the basics of healthcare systems. What is a healthcare system? Healthcare system is just how do we treat healthcare, or treat disease, I should say, and then how do we inform and educate people about healthcare? How do we make sure that patients are leading healthy lives? How do we improve their quality of life? How do we manage the costs and their access and their quality of healthcare? So all of those things are going to be looked at in this chapter. So they're going to break it down into basically 3 types of healthcare systems. So the socialized programs are what both Canada and the United Kingdom have. There's government involvement. They have mandatory, sorry about that. They have mandatory health insurance. Ownership of the institutions are done by the government. The government administers the healthcare, all of those types of things. Then we have those decentralized programs. Those are the ones that you'll find in Germany, Japan, things like that. There's mandatory health insurance, but lots of different healthcare providers, things like that. And then you have the voluntary programs, which is what the United States falls into. So health coverage is not necessarily offered to everyone. There's many different types of healthcare delivery and many different ways that payments are made. So those are the 3 basic buckets that healthcare systems are going to fall into. And then, of course, we're going to identify the different types of healthcare personnel that work within these systems. So obviously, pharmacists and pharmacy technicians work within the systems. And of course, physicians, nurses, physician's assistants, any of those kinds of people that you can think of, lab techs, all of that kind of stuff. So anything that's related to healthcare falls into this bucket of healthcare personnel. Obviously, pharmacists and pharmacy technicians is who we're going to focus on, though, right? Pharmacists are the 3rd largest group of healthcare personnel. There has been a lot of change in pharmacy over the years, a lot more specialization. It used to be when you would go to school, you'd learn how to be a pharmacist and you'd either work in a retail setting or a hospital setting. Now there is a lot of other options. There's long-term care pharmacy, home care, managed care, nuclear pharmacy, hospice, federal pharmacy, specialty, telepharmacy, internet pharmacy. So a lot of different things that you can do. So as pharmacy technicians, that means our role has changed as well. So we are there to assist the pharmacist. And in the past, that meant that we're assisting them in dispensing medications. Ultimately, the pharmacist is in charge. The pharmacist is the one legally responsible, but our roles have changed a lot over the last several years. So you're going to see, as we start to explore some of these different types of pharmacy options that are out there, how the role of a pharmacy technician works within those. So as you go through and you read the rest of this week's chapter, or first part of this chapter for this week, please make sure that you're reaching out to me and let me know if you have any questions, and have a great week.